the first pick, the Dallas Wings select.
Oh, what a night it is. Welcome to the WNBA Draft Reaction Show presented by State Farm. The day has come. The ladies have all cleaned up, looking a little different than we're used to seeing them on the basketball court because tonight, W dreams will come true. They've all gathered at the Shed in New York City, serving face for the 2025 WNBA Draft. It's gonna be so good. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Christine Williamson, Harry Lyles Jr., and Meghan McKeown, all in studio to take it all in, really enjoy all of the work that these women have done to get to the W thus far. What are you guys most looking forward to? What are you most excited about, Harry Lyles Jr.?
I'm excited for the Dallas Wings and what their future is going to be. When you add, we assume they're going to have Paige Bueckers, right, very shortly here soon. I think that this is a truly franchise-changing pick, not just because of who Paige is, but what she's going to be able to do for Iriafen.
I'm excited to see how the rookies this year do in the league. Last season, so many first-round picks: Cameron Brink, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso. I feel like I just named the first 6 people picked in the draft.
Yeah.
They made immediate impacts on their teams, which doesn't always happen in the W. You come in your rookie season, sometimes it takes a lot of time to adjust to the physicality, the level of play. I'm excited to see if this rookie class can take on what the last rookie class did and continue to excel.
Yeah, the last rookie class was so groundbreaking. There are some groundbreaking players, though, in this WNBA draft. You mentioned the Dallas Wing. Let's take a look at the draft order really quickly. Dallas, they have the first overall pick, followed by Seattle and Washington. Yesterday, the Chicago Sky acquired the number 11 overall pick from the Minnesota Lynx in exchange for Chicago's 2026 first-round pick. So the Mystics, they have 3 picks in tonight's draft. The Sky, Sun, and Wings, they have 2. Megan, why do you think that some teams wanted multiple picks in the first round while others decided to have none?
Well, like you guys saw coming into the show, a lot happened in the offseason with the free agency period. So many different teams made different moves. A lot of teams no longer have a ton of veterans on their team. They don't have a lot of front court depth or back court depth. So getting some young talent and being able to build upon that's going to be big. And of course, you have the CBA coming up after the season. So that's going to make an impact, including all the expansion we're seeing. So from a money and salary perspective, I think it made a lot of sense for teams to maybe get rid of some players with those salary minimums.
Okay, so Lyles, which team do you think has a chance to win the draft tonight?
Gosh, I look at a team like the Mystics, honestly, just because it doesn't seem like after perhaps 2 or 3 you could get a really franchise-changing player. But to me, this is still a very good draft in terms of building pieces around, so hopefully you can get that star player to have basically a core built around. I mean, even if you look at the Connecticut Sun, you're not returning 1 starter from your team the previous season. Hasn't been done before. I mean, even they're another team where it's like, hey, you've really got to make good on these picks and hope that they turn into something that you are laying the groundwork for. Because if not, I mean, worst case scenario, you end up like the Dallas Wings, you end up getting a Paige Bueckers. But you don't want to do it this way because it hasn't been fun.
Scenario, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, the teams you mentioned, too, have multiple picks, right? Like Washington has 3 picks in the first round. Chicago has 2. Connecticut has 2. So when you're able to get some of that young talent, not to mention there's a lot of new head coaches for some of these teams. Washington has a new head coach. Connecticut has a new head coach. Dallas has a new head coach. We can go on and on here. We haven't even talked about Golden State yet. The brand new team coming in. I don't want to take this out.
No, it's totally okay. No, I was going to say the W looks completely different going into this next season, which is very exciting. You mentioned the fact that 2 and 3, we don't know exactly what's going to happen at those picks, but I feel like it's 3 and below where people really have some big question marks. 1 and 2 are pretty much figured out. So let's take a look at the latest mock draft. So, of course, as we mentioned already, Paige Bueckers likely going to be the projected number 1 overall pick, followed by the French woman, Dominique Malonga of France, and then Kiki Iriafen of USC. Do we agree that Paige is the best player in the draft, Megan?
Yes. I'm going to go yes. So we'll keep it simple. Paige Bueckers did so much in March, especially to come in with a lot of momentum, won a national championship, finally was able to do that and solidify herself as one of the UConn greats. Her efficiency makes her so special as a guard. To shoot above 50% in the college game is huge. Her vision makes her really special. Her passing, seeing the floor, that IQ and that motor is going to take her far. I really like what she was able to do this year in terms of mixing up her scoring from three and also getting to the rim.
Yeah, she's really a shape-shifting player. I mean, Gino has talked about this literally over the past couple of years. No matter where I put her, she's going to be the best player at that position on the floor. And I think the other thing, too, is not just, I mentioned earlier, what she's going to do for Enrique, but even in terms of building the team around them, she gives you a little bit more versatility than you probably otherwise would have. And then I think one thing that people are not talking about with regards to Paige Bueckers is her journey here. Like, we knew she was a great player coming out of high school. There was all the hype coming into UConn. It took 2 years for her to get healthy.
Yeah.
And that's not always a given. That's not a promised thing. And then the big piece of that, too, is not even just getting healthy, but it's trusting your body again.
Yeah.
And so to watch her, I mean, it's incredible. Like, you genuinely have to have a phenomenal story for a lot of other people who don't root for UConn
to
true. Like UConn.
That's true.
And she did that.
Yeah.
She's also one of the first players in this NIL era, social media era, if you will, with the 2020 class, which was Caitlin Clark, Hailey Van Lith, Angel Reese, and Paige Bueckers, who were so widely known and had such huge social media followings. So she's not only had to deal with injuries, deal with everything that comes with being a student athlete, she's also dealt with fame at such a young age and all this NIL deals that have come in, and she's handled it with so much grace.
Yeah, and watching her win a national championship was just a great moment for all of us to watch. I do want to ask a question, though, because after the national championship, I was talking to a few folks just about Paige and the fact that she was likely going to go #1 overall. And some of them were concerned about her frame and the fact that she does seem very small and the physicality of the W when you talk about her health. What do you think, Meg?
People talked about Caitlin Clark at last year, the same thing. She's 6 feet tall, and everyone thought she was too skinny to be playing. She was going to get pushed around, but she did just fine. And if you see some pictures and videos of her right now, Caitlin Clark's put on like a ton of like muscle weight. She looks awesome. Paige Bueckers is going to do the same thing, right? Like, she might have a small frame. My concern about Paige Bueckers is, can she stay healthy? Because she has dealt with injuries throughout her college career. In terms of physicality, there's going to be a natural transition that you have to make when you go to the pros, but I think she's going to be able to do it.
Yeah,
she's skilled enough.
We've seen plenty of players figure it out. Okay, so besides Paige, which players do you think can make an immediate impact, Harry?
Oh, I think Aneesah Morrow. And a lot of it is because of her demeanor, her attitude, and how that translates into her game. Like, it is very much, it's not an enforcer necessarily.
Oh, yeah,
but her rebounding, her defense.
She is.
Well, when I think enforcer, I think of like more so of like a bully, or like what we would call in the 90s a goon. I don't view her that way. You know, I view her more as just like, hey, like, I'm going to get these boards. I'm going to play this defense. I'm going to make your life incredibly terrible. And I think that is something that is immediately going to translate. I think the thing that can make her go from good to great is if she can sort of get back to the scoring that we saw from her 2 years ago when she was playing three. To me, it felt like she had a little bit easier time with that then. I think regardless, she'll have success no matter what.
Right now, people are predicting her to be picked around 4 or 5, maybe to go to potentially Golden State, where I think she could play right away. Aneesah Morrow, this is. I see what the SEC players have been able to do in the W immediately. Think about Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso. That's such a physical league at the college level where the officials let you play a little bit more through contact. And those players translate and they adjust to the physicality so much quicker their rookie seasons as a result, because Aneesah Morrow led the nation in double-doubles, rebounding, all the things. I think she's going to do pretty good her first year. Yeah,
and you mentioned Angel Reese. Angel, obviously a big fan of Aneesah as well. What are the players that you think will make an immediate impact, Meg?
Aneesah Morrow, I completely agree with you. I'm looking at Sonia Citron as one of my favorite players in college basketball really this season, but her IQ makes her so special. She sees everything on the floor, but it's not just offensively where she accelerates. She also excels defensively. Really smart. If you're a rookie, if you're a freshman in college, a rookie in the W, you have to play defense in order to stay on the court. Sonia Citron does just that. I think back to this college season when Notre Dame beat USC early in the year. By far, Sonia Citron probably played Juju Watkins' best one-on-one this season with her size at over 6 feet tall. She can just use her length. She's really good at cutting down angles and forcing her defender into the extra help.
All right, so we know what teams will not be drafting those players. There are now 6 teams that do not have a first-round pick in tonight's draft. That is the Lynx, the Aces, the Mercury, the Dream, the Fever, and the Liberty. After losing in the finals 5 times, New York won their first championship in franchise history last season. They traded away their 2025 and 2026 first-round pick for Natasha Cloud, who I feel like is already living her best life in New York City, just watching everything on social media. What do you think their chances are to repeat, Meg?
Pretty good, I would say. You know, you return one of the best players of all time, and Stewie is back. Jonquel Jones is back. To bring Natasha Cloud in, obviously Courtney Vandersloot goes to the Chicago Sky, but you bring Natasha Cloud in, and she is so good defensively. Again, it goes back. I'm all about the defense, apparently, tonight.
Yeah.
But you have that. I like all the returners they bring. Sabrina Ionescu, you see Sabally as well, Sabally as well. So this is a team that returns so much of its core, the veterans that just made this incredible run to win a WNBA title. They're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, and I think the fact you said the key word there, returning, like that's the reason a lot of us looked at the Aces 2 years ago and was like, hey, like they're probably going to run it back, and obviously they did, and the three-peat was stopped by this team right here. And I think because, you know, you saw it in the first year that they really got the team together. It's like, okay, they're still sort of figuring things out. Like, you know, we can make some adjustments here and there. Last year, there was no buffering.
Right.
It was all gas, no brakes. I like what they've got returning. You mentioned Natasha Cloud coming in. I like their odds.
I was talking to a player that's on that team, and she said she likes their odds as well. Another thing that she said is she does not like the odds for the Indiana Fever, even though we're all so hype about what they were able to bring in on their roster. They have the new additions of Natasha Howard, DeWanna Bonner, Sydney Colson, Sophie Cunningham, and Brianna Turner. What are your expectations for Caitlin Clark and her now new teammates in her sophomore season, Lyles?
I'm not going to pick them to win it because I think that's a big step.
Yeah.
I think they will. I think that they'll get to like the conference finals.
Okay.
Right? Like they'll get there close, but I think New York is still a step ahead of them. But I will say this, like getting DeWanna Bonner, I think is massive for them.
Yeah.
Sid Colson obviously adds incredible vibes. Like she's a great follow on Twitter.
So
really
funny.
great.
I love
Sophie
her.
Cunningham obviously as well. But you know, I think a lot of people when they talk about the Fever, yes, we could talk about these additions. We could talk about Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and her mechanic with Caitlin Clark growing over the season was so incredible to watch. This was a completely different basketball team after the Olympic break.
Yeah.
Like, I was partially convinced that they could make their own run in the postseason. And then obviously with Kelsey Mitchell as well, having the best year of her career, re-signing her was massive. I really do think the sky is the limit for this team. I just, given the experience that we've got with the Aces and the Liberty, I'm not quite ready to go there, but I think that they might be the first team in the tier underneath them.
I wouldn't be shocked if Indiana was able to win a championship because they added veterans who have championship experience.
That's true, yeah.
That's huge, okay? Like when you take a look at the players like DeWanna Bonner, right, who won a title with Phoenix, who played for the Connecticut Sun, who made so many runs to the semifinals. Like you have that type of player in the locker room now who knows what it's like to make that type of push. So you need to have those veterans. Sophie Cunningham played for Phoenix, went to the WNBA finals round, right? Like there's so many different players you go down the list now that they've added the veteran talent who understands what it's like to play on that stage. Not to mention you have Aaliyah Boston, who's one of my favorite players in the league to watch.
Yeah.
Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark ended up playing really well together last year, which a lot of people, like myself, were skeptical about how they were going to play because they had both kind of have to have the ball in their hand.
Right.
But they played so well together and found a way to make it work and became one of the hottest teams at the end.
I think another thing, too, with Caitlin Clark, like, obviously she had a great year last year, improved as the year went along. I am so excited to see what she looks like with some rest.
Oh,
yeah, that's a good point.
And an off-season, because honestly,
she went straight through.
I thought she had already done a really good job with her strength training when she was at Iowa.
Yeah.
You could see it in the way that she played the game. I am so excited to see just the leap that she makes this year.
Yeah, I want to mention one thing, though, when it comes to this Fever team. Oh, look, there's Paige Bueckers.
Love the outfit.
Looking great. Her hair looks great, amazing, beautiful. It's just the fact that, I was talking to Holly Rowe about this, the fact that players want to play in Indiana.
Yeah.
So, like, even if they don't get it done this season, there are going to be so many players that are trying to get to Indiana. You have so many eyes on you. You can grow your brand. Like, there's so many things off the court as well, but, like, being able to put, like, some of the top players in Indiana should not be that hard because of the eyes that are on that Fever team.
Well, and I got to say, shout out to Indianapolis because it's one of the best airports, not to mention a great foodie city as well. So people might think, oh, it's Indiana, but there's some, pretty bright spots there. But to that point, to have the hot spot not be in New York or in LA or, some of these bigger Vegas, right? People are being like, I want to go to Indianapolis, Indiana. That's huge right now for the Fever.
And it's going to help you as a player as well, because a lot of people try to say, oh, Caitlin Clark, she's just a three-point shooter. Bro, have you seen her pass?
Right.
Like, what
exactly.
are we talking about?
She does it all.
Quicker than everybody. She can get to the basket with these, all the things.
Yeah. So it's incredible that yes, it's a destination now.
Have you been to St. Elmo's and gotten the?
I lived in Indianapolis for 4 years,
yeah,
so I've been to St. Elmo's.
Never mind.
Please, my nose, I can breathe permanently because of it.
Literally every single time I ever say I'm going to Indianapolis, they're like, "Did you go to St. Elmo's? Are you going to St. Elmo's?
Cocktail?
Yeah, did you get the shrimp cocktail? It's really good. You should get it." Okay, so Caitlin Clark last year pulled up in a Prada fit. Now here's the thing: Paige Bueckers, she might outdo her every once in a while. I'm not saying it, but she talks about her fits.
Yeah, so everybody makes fun of me for this outfit and like the way I pose, but I've already said I'm like not ashamed of my past. It's all a part of who I am now. But honestly, this fit is pretty good. Like the color combo, the pink, the I love a good flannel. Skinny jeans were in at the time. They're not so much in anymore. And then the off-white Nikes. I would honestly give it like, at the time it was an A, but I'm gonna just say a B now. This was my first ESPYs. Personally, my favorite, like the dress was pretty calm. It was cool. I just had ankle surgery, so I couldn't wear heels or anything. But the Alexander McQueens really made it. The sparkle to them and the shine really made the outfit pop. So this butterfly fit was one of my favorites. I had went to New York Fashion Weekend, which was a whole thing. I'd never experienced anything like it. But the fit itself was immaculate, if I must say so myself. That was definitely one of my favorites for sure. This was the GQ shoot that I did. It was extremely fun. I did things that I never have before in terms of fashion and putting pieces together. I thought this suit look was really cool. And also the picture, just the feel of it, you're sort of just laid out, chilling, looking back, looking cool. This one was last year's ESPYs. I personally, lavender purple is like my favorite color. Very cool suit if I do say so myself. But it was like extremely hot in LA that day. And it was sort of like a woolish suit. So the only thing I would say was like, I was just sweating underneath the suit. So when I got to take it off, it felt pretty good. But the look itself, I think was a 10 out of 10. This one was the WNBA draft that I went to go support my former teammates, Saniya and Aaliyah. One of my favorite looks. All white Louis Vuitton. I actually went to the Louis Vuitton store and got the bag myself because it had a hint of lavender purple in it, so of course I had to fold and get that. But it was actually very nice and comfortable. It was very chill. The look itself all went together pretty well. Just be comfortable in whatever you're wearing. That goes along with the don't conform to anything that anybody tries to put you in. Don't let anybody put you in a box. You can wear whatever you want to wear. Be comfortable in whatever you want to be comfortable in. And just be your best confident self, and however that looks for you, that's the best version of yourself.
That is some amazing advice. And look at how she pulled up tonight.
Yeah, I love her hair too.
The hair looks so good.
So good.
She doesn't have any lavender on, even though it is her favorite color. All black for this moment. I love it.
You can never go wrong with all black.
Oh, speaking of, there's Malonga. It was so funny to just watch her talk about like getting drafted and like what you expect. She said she didn't expect anything, and she's like so excited because they're getting hair and makeup. And I'm like, girl, welcome. There's Kiki.
All right, well, that's got to be the winner,
right? Do you love me? Yeah, we do.
Absolutely beautiful. She looks like a goddess.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't even know. My breath has been taken away. It's amazing.
And we heard her on WNBA Countdown talk about that was a custom-made dress from a Nigerian creator. This obviously HBL. And she's been serving face. Like she has smiled all night. Every time I've seen a picture of Hailey, she's just like just.
She's in New York and she knows it. She's trying to walk down the runway for Fashion Week next year.
Okay, Aziaha James.
Love. A lot of black.
Aneesah Morrow.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know like where they got
that
this
jacket. Yes.
I know,
that's
right?
tight.
That's good.
Oh, I'm into
That's
that.
good. I forget who, but somebody was saying that they were wearing Coach tonight, and obviously the draft red orange carpet is presented by Coach.
Now, can we caveat though the advice that she gave, because it is good that you should wear what you want and wear it confidently and stuff like that, but. And I can say this from personal experience, you need somebody like Christine in your life to heat check you though. To tell you if you're really messing up. Because you can wear something with all the confidence in the world, but you need friends that are going to tell you when your ish stinks.
You need a team around you.
Well, true friends tell you if your outfit looks terrible.
Yeah.
Like that's what a true friend does. Yeah.
I would would also imagine, like, no offense, I know that Paige has plenty of style herself, but to go from what she was wearing with those skinny jeans and then those off-white pink Nike sneakers with the socks peeking out and the jeans.
And the wash of the skinny jeans. It was like that light, terrible wash.
I feel like she definitely got a team around her to help her out a little bit because nobody was helping her out at that moment. Yeah, exactly. Now, I will say at the time, it was her freshman year, as she said. At the time, skinny jeans were likely in.
Sure.
And that's the beautiful thing about life is we all need room to grow. Sometimes, you know, personally, sometimes with our wardrobes. I know I've done growing, you know.
We're allowed to evolve.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She definitely has a team.
Yeah.
She definitely has a team around her. Okay, we're here. It's the WNBA Reactions Show presented by State Farm. We're going to be checking in on what social has to say to all of these picks, and also we're going to take a look at the what happened with the trade tonight. Carly Samuelson traded to the Lynx, and she found out the hard way. I mean, huge. Here it is. Traded mid 10-hour flight with no Wi-Fi is crazy.
Yikes.
Can you imagine?
10-hour flight.
We were just talking about Delta, you know, in here, and how you got to make sure, one, you had that status so you can at least get Wi-Fi or whatever.
There she is. Oh, look, AZ Fun. Look
Shocker.
at her. Look how cute.
Aww.
Yeah, who would have thought that AZ would be there? Okay, so obviously, as we know, Paige Bueckers drafted as the #1 overall pick to the Dallas Wings. Nobody's surprised. But I did hear Chiney Ogwumike, who was also drafted #1 overall, she talked about the fact that even though everybody around her was talking about the fact that she was going to get drafted #1 overall, she still didn't know she was going to get drafted #1 overall. So I would imagine that even though Paige knew it, there was still some questions in her mind. Like, nobody knows exactly what's going to happen.
No.
So it actually happened.
Look at that, just like that. Just as everyone had predicted. Paige, how did you not know that you were going to get drafted overall #1? Look at that move right there. Her ability to create space is so impressive. But still, this is something Paige Bueckers has earned. And you think about her taking, you know, another year in college. Maybe last year at the draft, she wouldn't have been the #1 overall pick. You don't know. I love that she stayed another year in college, got that championship. She is ready to rock at the next level.
I'm just happy for her. Seriously, like, there was a point in time where it's like, oh my gosh, like, is she going to get past this injury stuff?
I know. Yeah.
Like, legitimately. And to have it turned around and just the player that she has even become by her own standards I am just very happy for her. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's great.
You a Paige Bueckers jersey?
I need
Dallas?
one.
Yeah, we'll get you one.
Paige also is
Before she gets traded to Sparks.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Paige also is just a good human, so it's good to just watch this happen. There's Gino, of course, there as well, looking all emotional. Not like he hasn't had #1 overall picks ever.
Right.
I will
Time
say,
as the head coach.
his relationship with Paige seems really special too.
Different,
Like the way that they talk to each other, joke with each other, razz each other a little bit. He was so emotional when they won the national championship game in a way that we're not used to seeing him get emotional. Look at that.
See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, we all knew, but like, look at how excited they
But
are.
still, it's exciting.
Yeah. And she ended a drought for Gino, 9 years without a title.
That's crazy.
Like, I was like, am I reading this correctly?
It's insane.
Like, has it really been that long? Because it doesn't seem like it.
I do have a question, because this is another question that I talked about post the national championship. When is the right time for, and we're going off script here, when is the right time for Gino to retire?
Go off into the sunset right now.
That's what I'm saying.
Go off into the sunset. Enjoy your wine.
Yeah, I mean.
He gets a #1 overall pick.
Yeah.
I mean, because here's the thing, right? You have players, we already know, Sarah Strong is a freshman.
Love her.
So you wait until she graduates, but then there's going to be other players coming through.
Coaches definitely do think that way. I was literally, we talked about the state of Indiana earlier. I was literally talking to a high school basketball coach a month ago who was like, I'm retiring after my 8th grade class because I think that they're the class. Like, coaches think that way. So he probably looks at Sarah Strong. Whenever she's done, maybe that's when he'll be done.
But how do you know that the next class isn't going to have that same emotional reaction?
Here's the one thing, though. Coaches now have to deal with the transfer portal and NIL, and it's a whole different ball game. You won your national championship. You cut down the nets. I think Paige probably stole the net necklace. Come on. Go hang out.
Let's just say they have another 9-year drought. You're going to be 80 when you win your next national championship. I personally think that Gino should probably.
Honestly, he should call it quits. If you've never read the story that Wright Thompson wrote on Gino, I don't know how many years ago now, but basically describing just the emotional stress that he constantly puts himself under, because his standard is not just championship, it is undefeated, it is nothing but winning.
Yeah.
I want peace for that man.
And he's going to go
Rest.
down as the all-time winningest, or as the all-time greatest.
Yeah, 12 national championships. It's huge for him. Okay, so we now know that Paige Bueckers is going to be in Dallas, and you talked a little bit about her playing with Iriafen, but what do you think the Dallas Wings ceiling is with her in Dallas?
Well, it's going to be important that her and Iriafen Gubawale get some chemistry together because playing with Iriafen, like, she can play with the ball in her hand, she can play off the ball, but she's going to be getting the shots. Like, make no mistake when you go to that Dallas team. So Paige is going to step into a role where she's going to be creating a lot for Iriafen, but also finding ways to create for herself. And it comes with mixing up how you score. I love her in the mid-range. That's kind of become a lost art in a sense, but Paige does that well. And I like how she's reading ball screens. You're going to see a ton of ball screen offense at the next level. Paige does a great job not reading just the primary defender, but that second line of defense and making the right decision.
And you talked about creating for Iriafen. She had by far the most unassisted field goals last season. Like, it was a joke. And I mean, some games you watch the Wings last year and it's like, okay, well, shoot, if Iriafen doesn't get it done tonight, like, it ain't getting done.
Yeah.
She's not going to have to worry about that this year. And I think one of the things, too, in hearing Gino talk about Paige and the difference between her this year during the NCAA tournament and last year was she can be a little bit more comfortable even in her own game because she doesn't have to be the only creator and she's not the only scorer on her team. So basically, Iriafen and Paige now benefit from sort of that same X factor.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how many games they're going to win, but I do think that they are going to bring out the best in each other.
So one thing I think about the fact that Paige did have the journey that she had was the fact that she's able to get drafted #1 overall, where last year Caitlin Clark got drafted #1 overall when they came in together. But I do wonder if she's going to have the immediate impact on the W in a similar way that Caitlin did.
I don't know if we're going to see a player have an immediate impact on the W the way Caitlin Clark did last season, kind of like a phenom almost, if you will. Paige Bueckers coming in, and look at the team, too, that she's going to be on. There's already a superstar on Dallas in Ogunbowale, right? So, like, it's not like Paige is going to come in and get all the shots. Not to mention, they have a new head coach. There's going to be a new system, if you will, and a new group of players to learn how to play with. So, Paige, the one thing she has going for her, she's really smart. So to me, that's going to help her. She's definitely going to play and get a ton of minutes, but I don't think she's going to be that huge star because Dallas already has a star on their roster.
Yeah, that makes
100%.
sense.
And I think, too, the other important piece of it is I think this year is interesting because you have sort of seen a lot of people, especially in more broad sports media, talk about, oh, well Paige doesn't have the same effect, the same hype as Caitlin Clark. And it's like, but you're kind of missing the point here. Like now, to me, and you sort of mentioned it with like this rookie class setting their own standard too compared to last year's. Like this is still this is the natural progression of sports. This is how this goes. Paige is going to set her own standard and help set the culture for a Dallas team that has been desperate for it over the last few years. And I think that is more significant than even just sort of this unique outreach that Caitlin had produced, right? Like that has been had. Now it's like, okay, let's build up these individual franchises.
All right, can't wait to see her in Dallas. The next team that's on the clock, it's the Seattle Storm. We already kind of know where they're possibly going, just mock draft and what a lot of people are talking about. But what do you think they could possibly do with their first round pick?
I think a lot of people obviously think it's Dominique Malonga at this point. Olivia Miles would have been great for them for a number of different reasons. I mean, golly, it genuinely feels like somewhat of a missed opportunity. But then also, if you look at the situation that, let's say the pick is Dom Malonga going into, whether she's learning from someone like Nneka Ogwumike, right? Obviously, they're very well known for dealing with Gabby Williams and her connection with the French team in a manner that is helpful to her. And obviously, playing alongside Gabby, there's some familiarity there. So I think that helps. I don't know, though, that she's going to make the immediate impact that some people seem to think, because she is still just 19 years old. Yeah. She has been playing professional basketball for 4 or 5 years. Exactly. So that does help, but the W is a different game.
Okay, so I just want to say the pick is in. It is Dom Malonga. So we now know that she will be in Seattle, and I just can't wait to see her play in the W because she just talked about she doesn't have any expectations, even at the draft and in the W when it comes to her playing in this league as a whole. But what do you expect to see out of her? You said you don't expect her to make an immediate impact, but what do you expect it to look like?
I expect her to be a really good WNBA player just in terms of what she brings with her size, right? 6'6", she's like kind of really long. She can face up, do a lot of different things in that sense. But she's going to go into this Seattle organization with a really good veteran like crew. Like when you look at Nneka, like, right? Like, that's a really good vet to learn from. Aziaha McKeown, who was huge last season defensively for Seattle. So she's coming in as a big, and she gets to learn from these different forwards, which is going to be huge. When you're a rookie, like, knowing your veterans and having good relationships with them really sets the tone for your career.
And you mentioned Aziaha McKeown really quickly.
Yeah.
I think if she's going to go somewhere, Seattle is great because you want to talk about this. I look at her as a prospect that needs to be developed. Aziaha McKeown is a great example of that.
Yeah.
Like, she did not come in and was the player that we saw last year. Like, she really developed into that. So you're going into a situation where, you know, you need to have the best brought out of you. Talk about the vets, talk about player development. I think it's a great pick.
When you look at guards that can get you the ball, Skylar Diggins-Smith is the player you would want 100%. To get you the ball. She's going to find you, and she's going to put you in a good position.
I also just want to talk about the fact that so Jonquel Jones is one person that Chiney Ogwumike compared.
I like that.
Her to Dom Malonga, because a lot of people were trying to compare her. Okay, here's the thing. Let's just talk about.
Let's talk about
people from France.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
The comparisons make more sense when they're actually equal, and I think Jonquel Jones makes the most sense in comparing Dom Malonga to, right?
Yes. Well, and so to clarify, you were talking about how people are comparing her to Wemby.
Yeah, exactly.
The only connection is
They're from
nationality,
France.
right? And that's about it. And look. I don't love doing this thing where, like, we compare men's players to women's players for, like, in terms of, like, their skill and their game and stuff like that, because it's like, hey, if you don't watch the WNBA, just say that, right?
Right.
Just saying. So if you wanted to, if we were going, if we were going to do a comparison from the men's game, right, over into the women's game, to me, it would be Giannis Antetokounmpo. Because he was a player that people were uncertain about. There was a lot of upside. You saw this incredible potential that we haven't seen from a player before. And he developed into that. So your hope is that she is a Giannis type. But it is much more than just, well, they're French, and they're both really tall and lengthy.
And they can dunk.
And they can dunk. Like, come on, man. Y'all got to get more creative than that.
Look at the reaction there in Seattle.
I love the mascots, man.
I also just love that they're having watch parties.
And Seattle's a great franchise, by the way, in terms of the fan base, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is a fan base that shows up. They have their own special arena climate pledge, right?
Yeah.
Where people know this is Seattle Storm, right? This is what we're going to. And Sue Bird, Lauren Jackson, some great core veteran players that built that up that are now retired. But still, that is one of the original franchises you think of when you think of the WNBA.
Oh, look at her.
She looks so, I love her suit, keeping it classy.
That's great.
Yeah. I've already fallen in love with her. I think we obviously didn't get to see that much of her because she didn't play college basketball here, but just everything that I've learned about her so far and watching her interviews so far has been very fun. So I'm really excited to see what she's able to do in the WNBA. And as you mentioned, Lyles, she did play professional basketball since she was about 14 or 15, but this game and the W is a lot different than what they play internationally, which is, you know, some of the question marks that people have had about whether or not her game will translate to the W. That's one of the reasons that people are saying that she won't make an immediate impact. But how different is it playing in an international game versus playing in the WNBA?
Well, playing in the WNBA, everyone is a grown woman, right? Like, in terms of, you've been in the weight room, you've been in professional systems, you understand that you have to step up defensively in a way. Professionally overseas, like, you can play against teenagers, you can play all the way up to people who are in their 40s, right? So, like, there's more of a mixed bag in that sense. But what she was able to do playing for the French national team in the Olympics, so she has that experience of playing against the best in the world, which makes her special. But look, I think college basketball in the U.S. is such a great stepping stone to get to the WNBA because of the physicality that you're playing with early on.
Yeah, you talk about the physicality factor. It was so funny. Obviously, we had a lot of new eyes on the WNBA last year because of Caitlin Clark. Watching people in real time all the time on Twitter realize that Alyssa Thomas plays with 2 torn labrums. Yes, man, that is how tough and physical the W is.
Yeah.
You literally have somebody out there without functioning shoulders kicking everybody else's behind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody's like, why does she shoot like that? Because her arms got to work.
She don't
like
got
that.
shoulders.
That's just how it is. Okay, so the next team that's on the clock, Washington Mystics. They have both the 3rd and the 4th pick in the WNBA draft. Where do you think they should go with this one?
Gosh, I mean, well, they got back-to-back, so, they can kind of just see, who do we want to make feel better in this situation? Look, I think that there are so many good players that they could go with here. I like Sonia so much.
Love her.
I really do. Like, I think the potential on her is just fantastic. But I just think the Mystics right here, and I'm very curious to see how they go with these, because if I were them, I'm just going best available, best available, best available.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That makes sense.
Because they have 3, 4, and 6, right? I'm taking the 3 best available, seeing who works out, because they don't always work out, right?
No.
I mean, this is a tough league to make. Hopefully, 2 out of those 3 hit, and then you've got building blocks for your franchise.
Another new head coach with Washington, right? But I'm looking, go Sonia Citron, go Kiki Iriafen, then go Cheyenne Sellers at 6. That's my prediction.
Okay. I was trying to find the mock draft to see where they had them, but, this is a very long Google.
I believe both
draft.
of those were in there.
Is that how
Kiki's
it
in
is?
there.
Is
Kiki
that how it
3, Sonia's 4, Cheyenne Sellers at 6.
There you go.
All right, we'll see if that actually happens. So they're on
Prediction.
the clock.
It's not really a bold prediction.
Taking me
because
some
draft.
As we mentioned, they have the 2nd and the 3rd pick, so it'll be huge. They also have pick 6, and then they have round 2, pick 11, 3, and 7. So they're
And they need everything.
out here.
They need
yeah,
everything,
they're
right?
just out
need
here.
everything.
That's why I think you just, hey, man, like whoever is the highest on your board, just go straight, pick the best available. Because the other part of this too is, look, I think one of the interesting things about the WNBA is that basically you can really flip your franchise somewhat quickly. We watched the Fever do it. Like, they have struggled for a long time. And if you can build the pieces around them, because even let's say that they had retained most of their roster coming into this year, I would still feel pretty damn good about that basketball team.
Yeah.
So, there's not going to be a Caitlin Clark or a Paige Bueckers every single year.
Right.
But if you're the Mystics, hey, like, take some shots on some cornerstone pieces.
Yeah.
And if you're still bad for the next couple of years, hopefully a generational talent comes around like, oh, I don't
like how
know.
you just said that.
You know what I
You're
mean?
still
though?
bad.
He's
Then
keeping
try
it real
again.
over here. I mean, he's just
Yeah.
keeping it real.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
And remember, Washington made that run at the end of last season. They almost got into the playoffs
Yes.
after starting pretty terribly.
Yeah. Okay, so they have the wealth. They can just choose whatever they possibly want. They just can go crazy in the draft this year. A team that can't go crazy in the draft this year is the Phoenix Mercury, because they do not have any picks. They were 19-21 last season, lost 0-2 to the Lynx in the first round of the playoffs. But here's the thing that was crazy, sad, and depressing is the fact that Diana Taurasi is no longer going to be in the WNBA. We hate to see it. What is it going to be like without DT in the W?
Yeah, I mean, she's our coworker now, so I'm cool with it. You know what I mean? She's
Yeah,
on our team now.
that's fine.
Sorry about it.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, realistically though, like, it does, it stinks because you love, and she caught a lot of flack for it. More broadly, I think outside of W circles for her comments about Caitlin last year, and hey, we're going to show her when she comes to the league that toughness. I love her attitude. I love her game. She's such an old, look at the size of them shorts, man. Like, that is
And
an
she never went away from it, too. She never went away from it.
Stuck to it.
Just like Paige Bueckers told us to do.
Yes.
Stick to what makes you feel good.
Yes, losing that is tough. Like, that is the OG of all OGs, at least
Yeah.
of her generation.
Yeah.
It's going to be a less entertaining game, that's for sure, when Diana Taurasi's not on the floor, because she provides not just her skill level, but just that attitude you mentioned,
Yes.
right? Picking up a technical foul or two and doing it with some style or flash. But Diana Taurasi is one of the main players in women's basketball that has put women's basketball on the map. We talk about understanding the history of this game. A lot of people are new to women's basketball, and we welcome you. We love you. However, Caitlin Clark did not make women's basketball, right? You got to go all the way back to the Sylvia Fowles, the Cheryl Swoops, Diana Taurasi. There's so many different players that have contributed to building this game up to where it is now, and Diana Taurasi is one of those core players.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit more about DT in Phoenix after we're done talking about Sonia Citron, because she is now in Washington. Is that, I mean,
Money.
Are we surprised?
No, I think that's money, like you
She's
said.
definitely all coach. I heard her say that she's wearing coach. Too.
I like how she added some socks too. You're not going to be able to see it maybe right here, but I do like the socks that she has.
She's a vibe.
Yeah,
Like, I feel like we haven't talked about
Oh, there
her.
you go. You can see him now.
Yeah, she looks cute. She looks adorable. Also very daring with the depth
it's
of
bold.
that.
Paige had the same thing.
Yeah, that's so true. I could literally never. But what do you expect to see out of Sonia at the next level?
I expect to see a high IQ. She's going to make all the right decisions. Defensively, you can see right there. It's like she gets in the passing lane. She keeps the right amount of distance between her and the person she's guarding. I love how smart she is offensively as well. And she's coming from a Notre Dame team where she wasn't the first or second scoring option.
That's right.
So she understands how to come into a system. You don't have to be the star, but my goodness, she's going to make every single right decision on the floor.
Yeah, and I think the key to her game, which is going to translate well, I mean, you talked about immediate impact earlier. She plays fearless. Like, it's one thing to be skilled and you know, be on your P's and Q's defensively and score when she's got the opportunities, but to really go in with no fear, which, you know, being a little naive, that's good.
Yeah.
You need a little bit of that. You call that something I can't say, you know, in football, some ish to you, if you will.
Okay.
But she's got that. She's got that, and I think it translates well. Like, this is the type of player we talk about building blocks. This is the type of player that you need on your team.
Yeah, she talked to Elle about that a little bit before they did WNBA Countdown. So it'll be huge for her to be in Washington. Obviously, they have the next pick as well. I would imagine that they're going to probably get it in quickly. But if we want to continue the conversation about Phoenix, it's going to look like a completely different team next year.
In general, yes.
Because not only did they DT goes away. Goodbye. We miss you. We'll see you soon. But then they also, Brittany Griner is like, hey, I'm out.
A-Town.
You don't have Ka anymore.
No.
Natasha's gone. Like, the team looks completely different this year. So, Phoenix?
So Alyssa Thomas
True.
enters the chat,
Yeah.
which is always great. I love the Connecticut Sun, so was disappointed to see her go in that sense. But, I mean, she comes in. We talk about playing with 2 torn labrums. That toughness that she brings now to the Valley is going to be huge.
Yeah, I would feel a lot worse for them if they didn't have somebody like Alyssa coming in. Like, because that's the type of person that, hey, like, if you are sort of rebuilding this thing, you need somebody that knows what's going on, that knows how to win, that knows how to be tough, that's going to help you get the best out of yourself, and she's that type of player.
You mentioned the fact that DT was, like, over the Caitlin Clark conversation, and I actually covered a Mercury Fever game. And it was just so interesting because a lot of the media didn't feel like they understood the assignment. I'm like, stop asking Diana about Caitlin. But it's just very interesting because now you see the older players kind of leaving and they have to shift how the WNBA is not only watched but also covered, because a lot of people are talking about the new faces in this league because they're the ones that are kind of putting the league on the map with all those new players. So when you look at the future of the W, especially when you're thinking about all these players that are coming in the draft this year, what do you think that looks like? And then also, we have new teams coming through.
Yeah.
Like, everything is just changing.
So you're in different markets now, too, right? Like, we had Golden State. We're going to be adding a couple more markets coming up here in the upcoming years. I'm curious how the CBA kind of shakes out after next year, right? So, like, there's a lot of things that are coming down the pipeline. Oh, I hear fun music.
Oh, my gosh, wait, we haven't heard that all
Love
show.
that chime.
Oh.
All right, the pick is in.
I will pause.
Washington at number 4 has selected...
Drum roll, please.
I feel like they probably said
Kiki,
it already.
there we
Oh,
go.
there she is. Kiki, do you love me?
Oh,
Oh, look at her family. She's
They look
amazing.
amazing.
So
They're
they're
doing it.
representing. I love it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh, wow, they look so good.
It looks so,
They look
good.
so
I like the
good.
pink, too. Oh, there's Lindsay Gottlieb, her college coach at USC.
Look at her.
In her
Being a
Kris
true
Jenner.
stage
Right.
mom.
You're doing great, sweetie.
So Kiki, obviously, we knew she was going to be drafted at least probably in the top 5. We could have assumed. Now we know she's at number 4, going to Washington. What do you expect to see out of her in the W?
I expect to see a player who's got an interesting motor. And we talked about comparisons. She says one player she tries to model her game after is A'ja Wilson, who's a great person to model your game after. But Kiki Iriafen can face up from about 15 feet out, take it off the dribble. She can blow by bigger defenders, but also she can shoot over smaller defenders just like that. And I love that little fadeaway off one foot that she's really developed in her game. But that motor and that physicality has to continue to grow when she goes into the W.
Yeah, and I think, you know, a lot of people have talked about her in more recent context, obviously with the Juju Watkins injury. They're like, hey, well, she came in and we saw that she could handle the scoring load, this, that, and the third. I don't think she has to be that player necessarily because she was already great when she transferred in from Stanford, played her role on this USC team. That's why she's being drafted 4th overall.
Yeah.
So I don't think that her greatness in the W is going to be dependent on whether or not she's able to score the basketball at this ridiculous clip.
Yeah. Okay, so this is who's on the clock next is a new team. And so when this team got announced, I spent a lot of time around Jessica Smith. And I've just been like, you know what? I think I'm going to be a Valkyries fan. I don't really have a team. I can be a Valkyries fan. They have round 1, pick 5, round 2, pick 5, and round 3, pick 5. I mean, huge.
Yeah.
What do you think about them and the Valkyries moving forward?
It's going to be interesting. You know, the expansion draft happened in December.
Yeah.
So they were able to pick from a pool of players that teams did not necessarily keep. Okay. So they took some players maybe lesser known, right, than some of these huge players on teams across the league. But they still have some really exciting talent. I think about like Veronica Burton from Connecticut, who played a ton during their playoff run. I think about Kate Martin from Vegas, who was, it feels like everyone's favorite rookie in the state of Nevada, maybe all over. So you kind of take a look at Monique Billings, has a lot of, and Julie Van Loo, I loved watching her play for Washington last season. So and Fag Benlay, by the way.
She played great minutes for the Fever last year.
So like some of these names are lesser known and they were more of role players on the teams and the franchises that they were with prior. So this is going to be a team. It's going to take a little bit of time, but I'm excited to see what they decide to do in the draft, and this player is likely going to have an immediate impact.
They also added Tiffany Hayes from the Aces via free agency. Here's the thing, though. Joe Lacob, he said that they're going to win a title. I think it was in the next 5 years, in the first 5 seasons that they have.
He thinks they're getting Juju Watkins.
And a lot of people obviously think that's insane.
I'm trying to think who else is coming
up next. Because it's going to take a little more than that.
Miles.
Right, yeah.
I mean, they have a great new facility, so they can do some things, but how long do you think it will take a new franchise to win a title in this league?
How long did it take the New York Liberty to win a title?
Yeah.
Like, that's not easy to do,
right? And there's not 30 teams in this league. Like, that's, this ain't the NBA, man. Like, we're not taught, or like even you see it in the NHL, like how quickly the Golden Knights were able to get to a finals, the same formula that we're working with.
Oh, look, this is their practice facility. It looks great. I forget whose interview I was watching not too long ago. I think it might have been Tiffany Hayes. And she was sitting in the practice facility. It looked gorgeous behind her. She was obviously very happy to be there.
That's sick.
Which, I mean, this is huge for W teams. I think we take for granted. We've seen so many teams now. The Aces were really the ones that kind of got this thing started, where they're able to have facilities that are actually rivals to what we see in other professional leagues. But I wouldn't, like, we're taking it for granted because it makes sense for them to have that. But not that many teams have those types of facilities.
Right. And so I will say this about Golden State. The thing that I love for this franchise, you mentioned Joe Lacob.
Yeah.
Not all WNBA owners are billionaires.
That's true.
Like and that's not shade. I'm not a billionaire either. But the thing that is the big difference, though, is like, do these owners have the money to throw around? The Lacobs clearly do. I think the thing that I hope for you mentioned earlier that we're going to be having more expansion. I just want these owners to be billionaires. That's the only time I'm rooting for billionaires.
New requirement.
That's the only time I'm rooting for billionaires is in
sense.
these situations because it is genuinely going to be such a difference maker for the league. Like, truly. It really does.
It's a great point. And the W deserves that, right? And you have now these owners that are coming in and they're talking a big talk. Well, put your money where your mouth is, right? And that's exactly what you've seen happen in Golden State. Vegas was able to build a great facility. You go down the list, Chicago's working on building a new facility as well, because people have to understand, like, back even as soon as like last couple of years, some of these WNBA teams are practicing at like the YMCA.
Right, it's crazy.
And fighting for the flights. Like, that's why I respected Jocyte being like, hey, here's my bread. Like, let my team fly private.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like, that's kind of what it takes. It takes money to make money, to build a league, to do all of these different sorts of things. So, in terms of Golden State, I've seen a lot of people talk about, oh, we don't know what sort of they're doing, roster building, this, that, and the third. Like, sure, whatever. Like, it's a tough situation, this expansion franchise, but the roots of this are in the right place, and I think that's really the thing that matters most.
And I talked about how the Fever, Indiana is a place that people want to go because there are so many eyes on them. This is a place that people want to go because the facilities are in place to take care of their players and actually make sure that they get what they deserve. But what does success look like for the Valkyries this season?
I mean, obviously, if they were to make a playoff spot, that would be huge. But I think if you can just find some cohesion with this group and get them playing really good basketball at the right time. So I'm looking at, like, after the All-Star break, right? Like, starting to click, headed into maybe making the playoff push. That looks like success. But I don't think if they win 0 games, it is what it is, right? Like, they're just getting off the ground. The teams that are the most successful in this league are the ones that have veterans and have multiple successful veterans, like the big 3, if you will, right? Those are the teams that have success in winning this league. Golden State does not have that right now, but who's to say they can't build that in the next couple of years?
I think the thing that you really also want to hope to see from this team is because you had the expansion draft, I want to see somebody on this team emerge as one of the most improved players in the league.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is if you really think about it, this is a fresh opportunity for everybody that's on that roster, really. Like, you have an opportunity. If I'm Kate Martin, if I'm Temi Fagbenle, like, I'm thinking, like, okay, I could be the franchise player on this team. Now, whether it's realistic or not is another conversation, but hopefully that brings out the best in what you see in that roster.
Okay, so the pick is in, and our mock draft had Aneesah Morrow, wait, I need to figure out how to say this girl's name. I'm not going to lie. I don't know how to say this person's name. Jocyte is who is
wow.
to go to Golden State.
I'm surprised
Yeah,
they
same.
did not pick Aneesah Morrow or somebody in the American college game. Because you take a look at the roster. Familiarity.
Yeah.
Like, I thought they were going to try to bring in somebody that maybe people were familiar with, college basketball fans and the women's side, that you could bring in and sell jerseys, right?
Exactly, yes. Yeah, that's kind of like where I thought they were going to go. Because, I think one of the things that you also want to see from this franchise is people in the seats.
Yeah.
So, you want to be able to say, hey, like, if it's Aneesah Morrow, like, hey, like, she played on, some of the best college basketball teams of the last few years. Here she is.
Okay.
And
so they don't do that.
They didn't do that.
They didn't do that.
Which,
and you're in
good.
Golden State, which obviously you have the Warriors there. Like, you're used to having big name players and having your fan base really rally around those players. So they haven't done that. Now, what do you think the ceiling is for them as they go into the season?
I'm going to steal your line. Most improved player would be huge, of course, obviously. But, I mean, you just have to find a way to win a couple of games.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have a superstar by any means on this roster right now. This is a lot of role players that you've put together, but it doesn't mean that a new star can't emerge, which is going to be a lot of fun to see.
Okay, so we talked about the fact that the Washington Mystics can literally do whatever the heck they want.
Yep.
And that is because they have the next pick in the draft.
So does this pick change what they just
And
did?
this might,
That's actually a good point, because if Aneesah, who was expected to be in the top 5, she's not drafted yet. She's now available at number 6. So do you think the Mystics go with her?
Mystics were already like league pass team number 1 for me after 3 and 4. If they draft Aneesah right here, I'm in.
It's going to be crazy.
I'm there.
What do you think, Meg?
well, you have Shakira Austin, Jade Melvin, Brittany Sykes, Stephanie Dolson, Aaliyah Edwards coming back, right, for the Mystics. So you really can't go wrong. They need everything right now. Like, they need front court depth. They need back court depth. Aneesah Morrow provides that. I love Cheyenne Sellers. I'm like president of the Cheyenne Sellers fan club because she does everything you could want at 6'2". And plus she played at Maryland, so kind of a local name, if you will, in the DMV. I could see them going with Aneesah Morrow right here, but I would like for them to go with Cheyenne Sellers just because I think she brings so much both offensively and defensively.
It feels, if you're a Mystics fan, your team has been in a spot now where it feels like they can't miss. Well, I guess we'll find out here in a second.
All right, so the Mystics have chosen.
Wow. Really?
This is getting juicy. I like it. Oh, hey, Russ.
What up, Russ?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. Wait,
What?
but did we see her fit earlier?
No, but everyone's wearing black of some.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow.
From Australia, which I'm awful at doing that. Obviously.
Okay, but I love this pick though. I do love this pick.
I like it too. They needed a point guard.
Yes.
Yeah.
And honestly, I thought I thought teams were going to hold her size against her, and I didn't want that because holy crap, man! Like when she is distributing, she makes everybody around her so much better. It's not funny.
She came into the SEC, was voted best newcomer of the year, and has since just had a monster senior year. I love that she transferred from Virginia Tech to Kentucky with Kenny Brooks, and I love her vision that she brings to the floor.
All right, now time for tonight's assist presented by State Farm. So last year, she averaged 6.9 assists a game. How do you think her passing skills will transfer to the W?
Oh, very well. Are you kidding me? Her vision. And you know what? It's that international flair, right? From Australia that some of these international players bring when they come and play college ball in the U.S. They can just hit their teammates in motion where they don't even have to stop, right? They're hitting them straight to the basket. I love her vision. I love also her ability to knock down the three. Yeah, she's a threat from deep. Like, she gives you sort of that, if we're making men comparisons again, she gives you that Steph Curry feel.
Oh, yeah.
She could do both extremely well, but I think just for what they're trying to build in Washington, having somebody that's going to make everybody better with that distribution, I think is just massive for them.
So you're still a Mystics fan?
I'm in there. I mean, I'm a Dream fan.
There.
Hold on a second. 30-second timeout. No,
Hold on, that's not what I said.
It's Brittany Griner season over here.
That's true.
Don't trip.
That's true. What were you going to say, Meg?
I was going to say, how many teams have you claimed tonight? We got the Mystics, we got the Dream. No, I love it. This is a good pick. I really like this pick for the Mystics, seriously, because you need at least some depth, right, at point guard. I think Brittany Sykes is going to kind of come in and play a majority of those reps on the floor. But, like, look, to have a player that can pass the way Georgia Amoore does makes her special, and, like, stuff like that, you know, like off one foot. She plays with so much swagger, and she's really smart at reading the defense and creating her own shot. So she's not just a player that understands the difference of, like, you know, pass first point guard. She understands what the defense is doing, when she's going to keep it for herself, and when's a good time to distribute.
Yeah, and she's going to be out there on the floor. She led the SEC in minutes, 37 minutes a game.
Yeah.
So she's going to play.
We had her on SportsCenter this year, and she's just also like a really good person. I know I already said that about Paige, but she's just a really good person, really genuine person. Okay,
Socks
Georgia
again.
on the orange carpet. Yeah, I mean, okay, I love a sock.
I do too. I'm into it.
Oh my gosh, Russell Westbrook designed
cool.
her outfit.
So that's why we saw Russ. Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so
really cool.
that's actually amazing. I wonder how they made that connection. But that's huge, so that makes sense. She might be one of the best dressed players in the W, which
And that
is
is
very
the most
hard.
appropriate
Leather,
NBA
Yeah.
WNBA crossover event we've had.
Was it leather?
It looked like leather.
Oh my gosh,
don't know,
I love it.
can't really see on it.
That's great.
All right, so now we know that's crazy that Aneesah Morrow.
Hey.
So
Interesting.
now you're dropping down to Connecticut as the 7th pick.
Yeah.
I felt like Connecticut's going to go after a guard because, again, they're a team that needs everything.
Yeah.
Marina Mabry is back but has requested a trade, so we'll see if anything ends up happening with that. But Olivia Nelson-Ododa also returns for Connecticut.
But this is a great spot for Aneesah. I mean, I was talking about her grit earlier. You lose Alyssa Thomas. Like, let's make this switch. I see their vision.
They've got back-to-back picks with 7 and 8.
There you
so
go.
Yeah,
can
they do.
go with a big and you can go with a guard.
So our mock draft has them. Where are we?
We're at 7.
Okay, our mock draft has them getting Isaiah James at number 8. Do you think that would be a good fit?
Well, now I think you have Aneesah Morrow available. You have Cheyenne Sellers available.
Yeah.
So those might be better fits to come
For what
into
they're able to do.
Connecticut and maybe make an immediate impact.
So what does Connecticut need right now?
Everything.
Everything.
They need scoring, right? They also need somebody with this pick. I would go with someone who can get Marina Mabry the ball. Marina Mabry got traded at the All-Star break last season to come to Connecticut from Chicago. She came off the bench, made an immediate impact. You got to find someone that's going to get her the ball.
And
I love that
you want
we
to
have
keep
that
her there.
noise
She didn't
now.
really want to be there.
I like that we have this
I
that
do
noise
too.
now. Okay, so now we know that the pick is in. The Connecticut Sun have chosen.
There we
Okay,
go.
there you
There she is.
Love it.
Okay. Oh gosh, there's
Speaking of outfits.
Smokey.
there's Mulkey, just looking casual and calm per usual.
Just another Monday for her.
Church mosaic.
It was like a stained glass window.
Stained glass window. Yes,
Yeah.
thinking like, you know.
Okay, so Aneesah will be in Uncasville, Connecticut. Love that for her. Huge. I don't know if she's disappointed, how she feels about the fact that she, you know,
She seems all right.
She probably didn't get chosen exactly where she thought she was going to be, but it'll be huge for Connecticut to have her there. What is Connecticut getting in Aneesah?
They're going to need a physical player that's going to get every single rebound, and it's that will to get aboard, right? The physicality that she brings. And we look back to some of the SEC players from last season that were rookies, like Rakia Jackson, Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, who played with so much physicality and came in ready to rock in the W. That's what Aneesah Morrow brings. She's not afraid of physicality. She's going to get every rebound. She can finish down low.
Hey, man, she plays. I love her attitude.
Yeah,
Like, did you see the way she grabbed that rebound?
Yeah.
Smacked the ball. Like, those are the types of players that I want on my basketball team.
Aw,
And
look at
talk about
this.
Connecticut needing everything. This is the type of player that you need to help build your franchise around, especially as you're redoing this thing.
And you lose Alyssa Thomas, right, who was a double-double machine, a triple-double machine. Now you bring in another double-double machine in Aneesah Morrow.
Yeah, 84%, I think, of her games last year, double-doubles.
Pulling out the stats.
Right.
man.
When you do around the horn as
Okay.
much as I do, you sort of just remember everything.
He
once you
just
read it
remembers
once.
all of it
Dang.
off at the top of his head. Okay, so what do we think the ceiling is for the? We've seen them have pretty good seasons the last couple of years. However, they look completely different. So what do you think the ceiling is for the Sun as they now get ready to choose the next pick as well?
If they can be a kind of lower playoff team, that would be huge for Connecticut. And it's a team and a front office that has been able to get to the playoffs consistently, to get to the semifinals consistently. a lot of different players, though. So the big news for Connecticut, they add Tina Charles, right? Who's a veteran in this league, one of the best players, one of the all-time leading scorers in the WNBA. I like Diamond Shields coming over. She won a championship with the Chicago Sky. J.C. Sheldon comes over from Dallas, a really good shooter and somebody that can also distribute. And Lindsay Allen, another really smart point guard that you can kind of bring in who can distribute as well.
But it seems like they're really starting from scratch.
They are.
It's going to look different. I think the thing, and I think you talk about like lower tier, but sort of in that contention, I think they need to sort of be what the Fever were last year at points, which was like, we're going to at least play you tough every single game. I think that they could be that. Like, I think those additions, like, we look at everything that they're losing, and that is certainly a lot. It's different. But I think there are still pieces there where you can contend in most games.
One thing about the Sun that we've talked about, but it's players that have departed, is they have been so incredibly physical. So now they get Aneesah, who's very physical. So that'll be a good addition to just the culture that they've built there at the Sun. So what do you expect to see out of her in year one?
Well, she's going to be physical, right? And I love to think of her going against Tina Charles, with Tina Charles every single day in practice leading up to that. It's a great veteran to learn from. But she's a player that understands that physicality when you come into the league. Like, everyone talks about, oh man, you get into the W, like the first time they get rocked by a screen or like on a box out, right? So like, she's gonna come in and she might rock someone on a screen or rock someone on a box out.
Yeah, and I think you saw it in a lot of the highlights. I talk about her smacking the ball and you get the rebound. You see how she was going over people's backs, grabbing boards, pushing people out of the way. Like, players that are not scared of the physical aspect of the game, that is so much more valuable in this league, and she brings that.
So we know that Marina Mabrey wants out of Connecticut. Do you think this pick, and depending on whoever this next pick is, okay.
Oh, wow, okay.
Okay.
Hey, it's a scoring guard, right?
Yeah.
At 6'1".
Do you think that these two picks make Marina Mabrey want to stay in Connecticut?
Well, so here's maybe, and I mean this in the most polite way possible, does she have enough pull to be just forcing her way out,
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think, obviously when we see it across sports everywhere, when you get pulled out of a situation and want to go, you go to a place you don't want to be at, like, we still got to see how this goes, right? Like, I think once you roll the ball out there and, we get to hooping again, like, I think it's a different story. But I think if you're her and you're looking at these two picks, like, I like what I see. Why not?
Saniya Rivers had a great end of the season, especially. I know I love her. I love her game, too. And she's just a fun player, right? Like, we talk about personalities and whatnot. She's one of those players that on an NC State team where that team, the chemistry was so good with that
2 years
crew.
ago.
Like, and she brings so much to the floor as well. Like, she's a smart player. She's so athletic, can get by anybody and create her own shot. That's what's so big. And her footwork, reading that secondary defender to get to the rim constantly. Like, look, she's got great balance. Shoulders are always squared to the basket, and she gonna finish.
That wingspan, look at that. That wingspan is something serious. That's good on both ends of the floor. That translates. I like these picks. I mean, we talk about the teams, the Mystics and the Sun, like both that had, 5, right, of the top 8 picks. I like what I've seen. We don't know if all of them are going to hit, but if we're talking about just pure potential and what you need for your team, which, yes, it was a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But I love some of the attitude that we've seen, the way that these players, most of them can play two ways. Like, I like where they're going.
I'm curious to see where we're going to see. Let's try saying that sentence 5 times. Hailey Van Lith land.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's somebody who hasn't been called yet. Not necessarily because she was expected to be called yet, but still a really smart guard who's coming off with a lot of momentum with March Madness. Is she somebody that's going to get picked next? We'll see. Cheyenne Sellers is another one who hasn't been picked yet.
I think it could be next because I really was thinking, and I think she was mocked.
At number 11.
Georgia was mocked at
Georgia was
Sparks.
I
could see Hailey going there.
HVL was mocked at number 11 with the Chicago Sky. So, I mean, it could happen. We obviously just saw Saniya go to the Sun. She was mocked to go to Dallas at number 12. Very interesting stuff. But so far, have there been any huge surprises?
Aneesah Morrow going as low as she did surprised me. I thought she was at least going to go at 5.
Yeah, and I just didn't think Georgia was going to go as high as she did.
Georgia went really high.
I did not. I don't hate the pick. I love the pick.
No, we're here for it.
I just didn't see that happen.
Yeah, it's crazy. The W is a great place to be. So let's talk about another team that we haven't talked about that much yet, and that is the Los Angeles Sparks. Because it's actually crazy. I will never.
Why'd you say it?
When you said it too.
The Spark.
Like they done something.
Because they made a Spark this offseason when they decided to trade for Kelsey Plum.
How great does that look now, by the way?
Oh my gosh, insane.
With Olivia Miles staying in school.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the player that you would have
wanted if you didn't get Kelsey. So I mean obviously huge. So again, let's just talk about that a little bit more. Opting for Plum over the number 2 pick, is that the right move?
I like it, especially because when I'm thinking of this pick and what you want or what you would have wanted it to, which is Olivia Miles, a really great guard. Now you don't have that, but you're bringing in a Kelsey Plum that is a veteran that knows how to win championships. That also, it's not even just about the point guard position, but it is about who is going to help uplift Cam Brink. Because I think the potential there is still huge. And so now, like, honestly, this really could not have worked out better for them. Because, yes, Olivia Miles did not come through, but you have Kelsey Plum, a veteran, who is going to help Cam Brink get the most out of what she is able to. And Rickea Jackson
100%.
As well. Like, I think that this worked out really nicely for them. I don't think that they saw that it was going to be as fortunate as it became.
Yeah.
But I think it's fantastic.
Hindsight always 20/20, of course. Kelsey Plum's one of my favorite players in the league.
Yeah.
Like everything she brings to the floor, from her swagger to her toughness, like her mentality with the ball in her hands. She's such a lockdown, knockdown shooter. And I also think she distributes the ball really well. Her vision's excellent. And you're also bringing someone who's a veteran, and you have Dearica Hamby on this roster as well. You mentioned Cam Brink, Rickea Jackson. This is a pretty good core. This is a playoff team, hands down. This is 100% a playoff team. If they do not make the playoffs, I will be shocked and disappointed.
I mean, they went 8-32 last year, which I feel like was very shocking and disappointing as well. So their ceiling, you say, is the playoffs?
Easily. They should be.
Yeah, I think so too.
Lock it in now. If I were betting a woman, that's what I would bet.
Of course, Cam Brink has to come back healthy from that knee injury that she had. You mentioned Rickea Jackson. What do you expect from her in year 2?
I think I'm with you that this is a playoff team. I just expect steps to be very plain. And I think bringing in a Kelsey Plum is just going to elevate everybody else.
Yeah.
Because you've got that veteran presence. You've got somebody that could do a little bit of everything. She's got that attitude to her. I think she's just going to help, not just in terms of the X's and O's and the skills and the scheme of the game, but everybody's confidence as well. And you need that in the W.
So what do you think that they need to do here?
Bring in another point guard. Like bring in somebody who can either develop or maybe play right away alongside a Kelsey Plum, who can not have to worry about being that scorer, right? That can just kind of worry and focus on being a distributor and maybe a secondary. I mean, shoot, in that starting 5, like you're like the 5th option probably to score. So you don't have to do too much, but just bring someone in with a high basketball IQ that can take care of the ball and distribute and understands what to do in an offense.
Okay, so this is what's going on social media, which we haven't been able to pay attention to because we've been just yapping this whole time.
And social media is terrible for your brain.
It is. I agree. I looked at my screen time the other day on Sunday when my screen time alerts me. Yes, and it was actually so bad. So that's why we're not on social media right now. But obviously people are very excited about where people have landed.
It's a great class.
I mean, I still am kind of shocked about what the Valkyries did, which, of course, no shade. I'm sure they're going to be great. They know exactly what they're doing. But the fact that they didn't choose a player that we know well in, in the United States is actually very shocking. But still, everything that's happened so far has been very interesting and I think very good. So what do you expect the Sparks to do at this number 9 pick?
Go with the point guard, I would say.
Yeah,
so it's this guard that can distribute.
Who do you think that should be?
I'd like to see them go with Hailey Van Lith.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really interesting. It's also interesting, we talk about, oh, wow, they did this, they did that. This was a draft where outside of the first pick, maybe the top 2 picks, we didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah, 100%. A lot of GMs said that same thing. Andrea Carter was talking about that in the pre-show. She was just saying that she's talked to so many people, and at 3 and below, people were like, we have option A, option B, option C, option F, because we have no idea who's going to choose what. So HVL, if she is possibly going to be a Los Angeles Spark, I mean, obviously her journey is another journey that's been very amazing to watch, and just also what TCU was able to do this season. After last season having tryouts on campus, like, hey, you guys want to come play basketball for us? It's actually insane. But if HVL does land in LA, what are the Sparks going to be getting out of her?
They would be getting a player that can make great decisions in a ball screen offense. She creates so well. And I love her decision making when she's coming off of ball screens. She's feeling where the defender is on her hip. She's either stopping short and hitting the mid-range because she's reading that defender if they're back and drop coverage, or she's getting all the way to the rim. So her quickly reading defensive coverages has improved drastically over her college career, and TCU's offense allowed her to really excel in that.
And we're talking about somebody that has played in so much high-level, high-stakes
That's true.
basketball.
Yeah.
Like, you talk about decision-making, to be able to be as sharp as she has been, 5 straight Elite Eights, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's because she's 2 at Louisville, 1 with LSU.
That's crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, because she's got that experience as well, she's another one of these players that she comes in, I mean, she plays with a lot of attitude, a lot of confidence. I think that helps her. And then obviously playing with somebody like Kelsey Plum and being able to learn off of her
That'd be huge for her, yeah.
Huge. Well, you think, too, about Paige Bueckers growing up. It's like a freshman dealing with social media. Like Hailey Van Lith is another one of those players that has had a huge social media following and presence since she was in high school.
Yep. Right.
And she's somebody who has tremendous NIL deals and has entered the portal twice, right?
Yes.
So she's dealt with all of the new landscapes of college basketball, and she's handled it really well. And she's talked about how it hurt her mental health and how she was able to come back from that.
Yeah, she took a lot of criticism when she went to LSU, and that didn't, go the way everybody had hoped.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I think, one of the, it just speaks to her mental fortitude, which I can't believe I just used that word.
And it's not Hailey Van Lith. Okay.
All right, roll
It's
Tide.
not HVL. We're going Sarah Ashlee Barker.
It was that game against Maryland where she had so many points.
Yeah.
She dropped 40, I believe.
Good dap right there.
I know, I was about to say the same thing. She was like, what's good?
That's some Tuscaloosa, you know what.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so we haven't talked about Sarah at all really on this show. So what do they get in the Sparks from Sarah?
You get a scorer, first and foremost. She can knock it down from 3. She can get to the rim, all sorts of things. I love her toughness, though, that she brings to the floor, and it was on full display in this game exactly, the Alabama-Maryland game, to go to the Sweet 16, where she just was everywhere, scored at will. But you see how she's able to get into the paint and score against physical defenders. That's going to be huge at the next level.
Yeah, you brought up earlier the physical nature of the SEC. I think obviously, you saw it in some of those highlights right there. The fact that she's got that experience coming into this league is going to be huge. The rebound and assist numbers are there as well. Like, I know the scoring is the eye-popping thing for everybody, but she does a little bit of everything. Yeah, so I like this pick.
Yeah, hopefully she's able to make an impact there in LA, because they have a lot of work to do from what they did last season.
What an upgrade to location, by the way.
Literally, I do.
I got family from Tuscaloosa, so I'm not tripping.
I have so many things against Tuscaloosa.
Oh, yeah, you do.
It's not fun there. All right, let's talk about the other side of the Kelsey Plum trade, because we expected the Aces to win a championship, and that is not what happened this season. And then they lose Kelsey Plum, Sydney Colson. They add Jewel Lloyd via trade and sign Cheyenne Parker, Tyus in free agency. They lost in the semifinals to the eventual champions, which was, of course, the Liberty, and it was a heartbreaking loss because I didn't know which side I wanted to be on. I wanted the Liberty to get a championship, but I also wanted the Aces to go back to back to back. Exactly. Yeah. How do the Aces bounce back now that they look a little bit different this season?
Bounce back? What are they bouncing back from? They get Jewel Lloyd, Cheyenne Parker, Tyus is a huge pickup. One of your Atlanta Dream pals. Dana Evans was on a championship-winning team in Chicago in 2021. They're not dropping off at all. Okay, obviously losing Kelsey Plum.
Yeah, the bounce back really is the fact that they didn't win. They didn't go back to back.
Sure. But you still have A'ja Wilson, Jackie Young, Chelsea Gray, Jewel Lloyd now in that starting 5. That's a WNBA Finals team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see, Jewel Lloyd, like a lot of people
I was going to say, that was huge.
The Seattle Storm as like a big 3 last year, but they kind of were.
Totally were.
But Jewel's ability to just volume score at times, like when she decides like, hey, actually this basketball game is mine, like one of the most fun players to watch in the W. I think the thing that stuck out to me about the Aces last year that they just never really quite recovered from was Chelsea Gray being out at the beginning.
Yeah, really good point.
That genuinely just messed up their rhythm. It messed up their vibe. They didn't catch on until late. And I mean, they were playing much better basketball later into the season.
Yeah.
But I just felt like that first month and a half, 2 months where she was not playing ball.
Yeah.
It just
They couldn't
really
figure
threw
it
them
out.
off, and they never recovered.
Yeah.
And then in the Olympic break, half of the team was on the Olympic team, so they never got to kind of stay together and play and practice during that time. So that also kind of hurt them. That's a great point, though. The Chelsea Gray injury really hurt them early on. Yeah.
Huge.
So now that obviously the Aces weren't able to win a three in a row championships, they're going to want to thwart, obviously, what the Liberty are going to do in the postseason. Do you feel like their ceiling, even with the new look team, is WNBA championship?
100%. Are you kidding me? This is a team that has veterans. They've got MVPs. They've got Olympic gold medalists, like all-stars, you name it. I'm trying to think of other accolades you could possibly have.
So
they got everything.
Well, so here's the question I have. I'm curious how you feel, because I know how I feel about this. Do we think A'ja Wilson has another step? Because I think she does.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Like,
She's
I
still
think
young
we're
enough.
watching.
And the needle keeps moving. The needle keeps moving with A'ja, I feel like, as well.
I think we're watching potentially the GOAT.
I like that. I don't
the,
disagree
the
with you.
The way that she has continued to evolve her game and improve, like the things that we saw out of her last year, like we obviously expect her to be great.
Yeah.
But at points it was like, wow, like this is even crazy for her. So like, I'm just interested to see if she's got another step in this as well. Like I think the sky's the limit for them.
You know what step I think would be really scary if she became like a 40% three-point shooter? She would
That'd
be a cheat
insane.
code.
Okay,
Championship.
so the Chicago
Imagine.
Sky have their pick in at number 10, and they have chosen Ajsa Sivka,
6'4" out of Slovenia.
the Slovenian.
Okay, now so here's a place I would have liked to have seen Hailey Van Lith go, which they do have back-to-back picks.
Right.
So
So
maybe she'll go 11.
They could still choose her at number 11.
But I think this is a good pick.
It's really interesting how a bunch of these international players have been chosen pretty early on in this first round, just because to me it's easier at times to judge some of the college players and how they'll end up in their first year, maybe project their use in the W. But you see what she's able to do at 6'4", if you can knock down the three, like
Yeah, she's
you're in
really
good shape.
slinging that thing.
Basketball
Money,
is starting to become really positionless in the W, right?
Yeah,
so
that's
you have
true.
to be able to step out and knock down the three. So if you have a player like that can stretch the floor, there's always going to be value.
When
Okay.
when you're leaning into them threes, where like
She
you're
said-
not like centered like they really teach you in ball. Like you're supposed to be like right here. Like she's leaning into
Yeah.
that thing. That type of confidence. Hey, I'm with that.
Just pulling up from
I'm
wherever
with that,
as
yeah.
I knock over my dinner. Okay, so you mentioned that the Chicago Sky, they have the number 11 pick as well, and that's where a lot of people projected that HVL would be chosen, so she still has potential to be there, but how do you feel like the fit is with her in Chicago?
It would be a good fit because I think Hailey Van Lith has done everything she can at the college level to make herself into a pro. And that means you're reading the defense and ball screen off, and you're making the right decisions, right? You're hitting your teammates in the right spots. Chicago is going to look a little different this year as well than from in years past. But you have to find a really good guard that can get Angel Reese and Camilla Curtis to the ball. Like that's at the end of the day going to be a huge key for them. They've got a great shooter in Rachel Bannum. So you have the type of team where you can kick it into the paint. You have that inside-outside ability. And I think Hailey Van Lith would, again, be a great pick here. We're really just like trying to will her into this WNBA first round.
Come on, call her name. I mean,
Yeah.
I do think though, Hailey Van Lith in this particular spot, like one of the things that this is my old-timey Indiana fundamental basketball. Like when I think of her on this Sky roster, I think of complementary basketball.
Yeah.
Just very high functioning. It doesn't have to be fancy. Everybody's got a very specific role. And I think that it would, again, rising tide lifts all boats in one of those types of situations.
I mean, we look at the
Good metaphor.
departures, we look at the additions. I just saw Ariel down in Tampa. Great to see you, girl. What is the ceiling?
Back. Vanderson's
Yes,
back.
Sloot being there is huge.
Won a title with
Yeah.
Chicago back in 2021.
Yeah.
You should
So
have her
she's,
back.
yeah, exactly. What's the ceiling for them now that you look at?
Depending on who they pick and kind of seeing how things develop, like this is a team I think it's going to vie for one of the last playoff spots.
Yeah, I think this is another one of those you see them on your schedule and you're like, those annoying guys, like that's
But not because of the front court, but because of the back court, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have that killer that can create their own shot at the high level we see some of these teams that advance super far in the playoffs have from a backcourt perspective.
All right, we'll see what the Chicago Sky end up doing with the next pick. Can we talk about the Lynx a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah. Haven't talked about
Minnesota, we haven't talked about them enough. I agree, even last season. So we know that they lost in OT in Game 5
Heartbreaking.
It was a heartbreaking game because that was another one where I was like,
though.
I don't know who I want to win this game. I'm not sure.
It's about as balanced as it gets.
Yeah.
They traded away their first last night. What do you expect from the Lynx this year?
It's another finals contender. Like, you return everybody, right? And also, what I love about the Minnesota Lynx and the Cheryl Reeve team, they're going to play defense.
Yes.
They led the WNBA in defensive points per game last season. They are so smart all together. And this is a team that meshed so well, and they had all the right pieces. Aneesah Collier's a star, right? Like, she was one of the finalists for MVP last season. Kayla McBride is a walking bucket. And she's a player that, if she was on any other roster, would be like that #1 go-to player. But because of Aneesah Collier, she's going to be that secondary player, which honestly opens up so much for Collier. They're just a balanced team. Alana Smith is so underrated, as is Courtney Williams. I love their roster from top to bottom.
Yeah, I mean, you see Courtney Williams on there, obviously former Dream player. But I think Fee also is another one of these players that you look at and it's like, okay, well, like maybe there is another step here as well. I mean, there was just like when I think of this Lynx team, like a lot of people didn't talk about them last year because it's just a well-oiled machine, man. They play good ball. Right, they don't.
There was nothing flashy about them.
Right, there's nothing flashy about them on or off the court.
And there's not going to be normally.
And there's because they don't want that, and that's not their ball. That's not their get down.
That's Cheryl Reeve.
And so I think that this is another team. Hey, head down. Like, let's keep doing what we're doing. You mentioned Cheryl Reeve. She don't like the nonsense. Like, you know,
she really doesn't. Talking to her pregame, I'm like.
Like,
she's like, she ain't about it.
Fun fact, she used to babysit me when I was little.
Really?
Yeah, and actually bought me my first car ever when I was 2 years old, a little Barbie car, and my mom made her return it.
Oh my gosh, wait, that is an amazing story.
Mom, what the heck?
That is an amazing story, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you think about this Lynx team, again, that was a heartbreaker. What is their ceiling this season? Is it championship winner or bust?
Yeah. Oh,
Champion,
man.
100%.
Yeah.
That bad taste in your mouth. Cheryl Reeve, she is texting that team every night before they go to bed.
Don't forget about the fact that we lost.
14th. Hey, by the way, before you go to bed,
box out.
Yeah.
Don't forget overtime.
So if they don't make it to, if they don't win the championship this year, is it a lost season?
I feel like it's tough to call it a lost season just given what the Liberty are rolling out there, what the Aces are rolling out there, what the Fever are going to be doing this year. Like, I wouldn't call it a lost season. But, like, I think that you can look at, again, overtime in Game 5 and be like, it was right there. Like, I don't know that the opportunity is going to be closer
just slip through their fingers.
Right there.
I'm, like, getting, like, you know, PTSD a little bit thinking about it for them, like how close they were, right? And this is the franchise that has won multiple WNBA titles, one of the best WNBA coaches we've seen. I'm big on this Lynx team, and they have what it takes to get to the finals. I'll be surprised if they don't get there.
Yeah, they have round 2, pick 2, and 12, and then round 3, pick 12. Is there anything that you think that they need? I mean, they're returning all their starters. Like, they're a well-oiled machine.
Staying healthy with veterans, right?
Yeah.
Nothing that they need
They
in the
could
draft.
have a little more depth, right? Like, I think always that's a good recipe, especially with these rosters only being able to hold 12 people max.
Yes.
You have a 40-plus game season, right? Like, you have to keep your bodies fresh. Injuries happen, so if you can find maybe a younger player that can just kind of come in and contribute a few minutes and not necessarily hurt you, just come in, be solid, they'd be benefit from that from a depth perspective.
Because I think, too, a lot of the best teams in the W, when you look at them and the difference between them and that middle tier, which, again, 12 teams in the league, they're at 13 this year, there's not a whole lot of room necessarily, but the difference between the contenders, the teams that are, like, good, not great, and the bad teams, the teams at the very top, they're not an injury away from losing their season. And that has to be the difference for them.
I'm surprised that the Chicago Sky are still on the clock. I feel like
They've got a lot of options.
But I feel like if you have 10, then you kind of like, you talk 10 and 11 at the same time. So once you put in 10, you're like, okay, and now 11 is going to be, but whatever. We're going to wait to see who they end up choosing at number 11. Let's take a look really quickly at what's already happened, just for a little recap, because it's been a bit of a night, right? We've been here for a minute. So the Dallas Wings obviously went number 1 overall. No surprise that they went with Paige Bueckers, then Malonga at number 2. I mean, we talked about the surprises. The real surprise that we saw was the fact that Aneesah Morrow went so low, a little bit lower than a lot of people expected. But is there anything that stands out to you from what we've seen so far?
I'm surprised Ashlee Barker went as high as she did at 9, too. That was somebody who a lot of mock draft people had maybe going in the second round.
Yeah.
So for her to go in the first as high to Los Angeles stood out to me.
Yeah, that was definitely a shocker. I mean, she was on the WNBA's invite list. I think they had 16 players on their total. So like, you're in the mix for round one if you're on that list. But I just did not see her going 9.
I didn't see her going before Van Lith, and I didn't see her going before Cheyenne Sellers.
No shot. I think Georgia going at 6 was a shocker for me because again, I thought teams. Not that they were going to necessarily hold her size against her, but they're like, there's other ways that we can go here and feel more comfortable with our decision based off of that. I just like what the Mystics have done.
Yeah.
You
liked it regardless. They didn't.
Hey, I mean, to me, it would be hard to mess up. But I love the direction they're going. I love the attitude that they've got in those players. Again, like, are the odds high that they all hit? No, but it feels like safe picks.
Got to be a guard.
So.
All right, so the pick is in. That scared me a little bit. I was like,
let's see.
Chicago Sky have chosen.
Give it a guard. Got to be a guard. Oh my gosh, the suspense.
It is a lot.
Right?
Of suspense.
Yeah, they really took their time.
There she is.
Oh.
Wait, is she the first person that we've really seen cry?
I think so. Yeah.
All right, Hailey Van Lith. Who we just talked about. We expected to go a little bit higher. Now she'll be in Chicago. I mean, she'll be playing with a lot of great players. She'll be playing with Angel Reese.
Jalen Suggs.
Oh, look at Jalen Suggs there.
Yes.
We got to work on that tie, brother.
Yeah, he I don't know.
You know what I think those tiers are? Like,
the journey?
It is the journey, but I think she was probably, and you talked about the criticism that she took on social media and how that affected her mental health. Like, it looked like the train might have been coming off the tracks when she was at LSU.
Yes.
And to see her come back in the year that she had this year was just so phenomenal. And it has to just feel like a big sigh of relief for her. Because I think it really did seem like it affected the way that people viewed her game. Which, like, hey, like, certain players play different in certain systems. We knew she was a great basketball player. She just needed another opportunity to show that when she's put in the right situations, as you're seeing right here, she's a great player.
They've released a video earlier this season, TCU did, of when Hailey Van Lith got a double-double. And head coach Mark Campbell said, hey, Hailey, you got a double-double. She got really emotional talking about it. And you kind of see her journey from what happened at LSU to now going to TCU. And it allowed her to develop that system, allowed her to thrive, to learn. Keep in mind, Coach Campbell, Coach Sabrina Ionescu at Oregon, right? One of the best players in terms of playing in pick-and-roll situations. So for Hailey Van Lith to learn in that system, she's going to help her big time in the league. Obviously now she's a first-round pick in the W. And she getting to the basket, I mean, look at those skills with the ball. Look how low her crossover is. Her ability to finish through traffic. She's quick, she's crafty, all of the things. And she makes really good decisions in terms of when to keep it for herself and when to distribute.
And someone that knows how to win. They showed it there on the bottom line. First player, men's or women's college hoops, to go to the Elite Eight with 3 different teams. Like, dubs travel well.
Yeah.
It's tough. You can't say that about everybody.
Yeah. So what do you think the ceiling for the Chicago Sky is then this season?
Yeah, they're a playoff team that maybe can contend to get into maybe that 7th or 8th spot, I think.
Because they were there last year.
Yeah.
They were right there. Again, hey, you want to talk about league pass teams?
They're going to be fun.
They're going to be fun to watch.
And guys, hello, Hailey Van Lith and Angel Reese are reunited now.
That's why I said it. Exactly.
Right.
I think it's going to be beautiful to see. Definitely to watch them play again, once again. Okay. We've got the Dallas Wings on the clock at number 12. Now, they obviously got the number 1 overall pick in Paige Bueckers.
So they can do no wrong here, obviously.
Congrats for that. You think?
No, I'm fine. They could absolutely mess this up.
Where do you expect them to go?
Cheyenne Sellers still on the board.
Yeah.
I like that too.
Like, if I'm Dallas, even if let's just say that you don't feel like she's your strongest need, there's no way you thought she was going to be right here, right?
No, Cheyenne, no.
Like, I think that's where I would go.
I agree on Cheyenne Sellers. Serena Sundell, I also see, is kind of scrolling on the screen. And she's a player who I really like because of her size at over 6 feet. And she's really smart with the ball in her hands. And she can get into the paint, which when you get paint touches, the defense has to collapse. It opens up so much on the perimeter for your team. I really like her as a potential pick as well. but I still would like to see Cheyenne Sellers here.
Okay, so that's one player that's on the mock draft that hasn't been picked up yet. Another player that hasn't been picked up yet that is on the mock, she was chosen to go number 8 overall to the Connecticut Sun, is Aziaha James. So that's another player that's left that was expected to go in the first round. There's only one more pick in the first round. So we'll see, obviously, what Dallas decides to do. But what kind of player is Aziaha James?
I mean,
We haven't talked about her really that much.
tough.
Yeah, we talked about her teammate, but
She's tough.
yeah.
Get to the rim. You saw what she did in the NCAA tournament game where she was able to knock it down from 3.
Oh, they knew.
That sound
That
makes
was
me
quick.
so...
Sorry.
Yeah, see,
wrap it up.
Well, they got to think about it while this guy took 15 minutes.
All right, so the Dallas Wings have chosen.
Something good. Whatever Paige wants.
Oh my gosh, not me predicting the future.
Wow.
Hello, period. From NC State. I mean, we just talked about a
Good about me
little
with
bit
the
ago.
handshake.
Yeah, I know. She got it. We talked about Saniya Rivers and the fact that that team was so tight. What do the Wings get out of Aziaha James?
Get a really quick athletic guard that can score, right? Like a scoring guard, which is what the Wings already have in Arike Gumbawale. And they have, you know, some really good additions when I take a look at what they've added from Nalissa Smith, Dejanay Carrington, Ty Harris. Aziaha James is going to be learning under a really solid core in Dallas. And she doesn't have to worry about coming in and shouldering the whole entire load, which is huge for rookies because at NC State she was required to do a lot with that team. But now she's going to be able to come in and just focus on being Aziaha.
And she wasn't shy about crashing the glass. Like almost 5 rebounds per game. I think that's huge. And it's something that, and we saw it on the graphic there, that the Wings, I believe, missed 5 of their 7 top scorers for most of the season last year. I can't remember what the percentage we had on that. But to have somebody that's got that toughness and that grit that is going to be able to crash the glass for you like that, I think that that's big for them. And they need this sort of that consistency, and hopefully she can provide that for them.
I also just want to mention, because we haven't talked about her fit, you have Arike, Paige, and then now Aziaha as 3 of the best dressed women in the WNBA. I cannot wait for those tunnel
And
fit
Dejanay
pics.
Carrington.
Oh yeah, Dejanay.
Hello.
True.
Dejanay. It's gonna
Don't
go
forget.
crazy. It's gonna be so fun to watch. All right, let's take a look at what's happened so far in the entire first round of the WNBA draft. I mean, we just talked about this a little bit, but now we've gotten our last 2 picks. So obviously at number 1, we had Paige, Dominique, Malonga. At number 2, we saw Sonia and Kiki go to the Mystics. We were very confused, but also surprised with what the Valkyries did. At number 5, Georgia will also be with the Mystics. Aneesah and Saniya in Connecticut. Sarah Ashlee Barker will be in Los Angeles. And then we have our last 3 picks, which we just talked about, Chicago Sky and Dallas Wings. So, I mean, the draft, I feel like it was a pretty good first round of the draft. We talked about surprises. Is there anything else that stands out to you guys?
I think the Mystics won the first round.
Yeah.
I like their picks. They picked proven winners at the college level who I think can translate over to the pro level. Georgia Amoore is probably my favorite surprise pick in terms of how high she was chosen. That's going to end up being, I think, a really good decision for Washington.
Yeah, and I think if you're Connecticut, you got to feel pretty damn good about where you're at. Like, I did not think Aneesah was going to be there. And
Yeah,
so we
that's
talk
a good
about the
point.
loss
Yeah.
of Alyssa Thomas.
Yeah.
And it's like, gosh, I can't believe it. It's
And
like,
Bree
oh, wait,
Jones.
Anissa's there? Like,
Yeah,
what?
that's true. Yeah.
And Bree Jones.
So I thought that was massive for them. Huge.
Do you also agree that the Mystics won the draft?
Yes. But they also, and I guess if we're talking about how much room they had, and again, they needed
They were a favorite,
everything.
yeah.
It was hard to miss, right? But
Yeah.
I think if you go somewhere else, I like what the Sun did.
Yeah.
I really
agree.
do.
Yeah.
Retweet on that one.
Yeah.
That was interesting. Most surprised by what Golden State did.
Exactly.
You know, that was an area I thought you could have, managed to maybe get an Aneesah Morrow or a Cheyenne Sellers. Bummed about that one.
Yeah.
But to go with not necessarily a well-known name in the basketball realm for WNBA fans was shocking because it's a brand new franchise.
We also saw her going in some second rounds in some mocks.
Yeah.
That's kind of the other thing too. So I mean, but if they
Very
like
curious.
what they see,
very curious what they're building.
Yeah.
out there in Golden State. Okay, so round 1, it's done. Round 2 will be on ESPN, so you can go ahead there now. Any final thoughts, guys?
I'm excited for the W season. Here we go.
Yeah.
It's so soon. Okay, that's all you got?
Yeah, I
Miles?
think so.
Okay.
Actually, no, can I get some of your dinner?
I have cottage cheese for dinner. It's going to be great. And frozen blueberries and boiled eggs. Thanks for watching the WNBA Draft Reaction Show presented by State Farm. Again, go watch round 2 on ESPN. Watch the girlies serve some more fits. And we will see you guys next time.
Yeah.